As I reflect on our 14 years together, I can't help but think about how perfect our life seemed on the surface. We had 2 beautiful young kids. And I always made it a point to be there for my wife, especially as she battled depression. I did everything in my power to support her, taking the kids on weekend trips alone, putting them in childcare early and never working late so I could help her at home. Throughout our marriage, my family often expressed concern that I was being used despite their worries. My wife and I set milestones we believed would help improve her mental health. We thought that once our kids reached a certain age, went to school and we bought our dream house, things would get better. And finally, when she went back to work, we believed she would find happiness. My wife and I enjoyed a close and loving relationship. We talked about everything and I did my best to be the perfect husband. We supported each other in our careers. And I was excited for her when she landed her new job. She was highly skilled, ambitious and determined to make a difference in her field. As time passed, we reached all our milestones. We bought the dream house and our kids began attending school. My wife's depression seemed to be improving and I was hopeful that our lives would continue on this upward trajectory. 6 months ago, my wife landed a great job as a contractor for a big company. She was excited about the opportunity and was eager to make her mark. She mentioned early on that her boss had a reputation for liking pretty girls on his team, was divorced and a bit of a jerk. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I encouraged her to be cautious and maintain professional boundaries as her new role progressed. Her boss tried to hire her away from the contractor company, offering her nearly twice the pay and an attractive compensation package. While this seemed like a fantastic opportunity, there were some red flags. He made dodgy comments to her during the hiring process which she shared with me. We agreed that she should screenshot them for hour, but she couldn't say much at that point as he could change his mind or offer her a lower pay package. 3 months later, she formally joined the big company despite her new job and the milestones we had reached. Her depression and stress persisted. She claimed she was just extremely busy, but something didn't seem right. Our once close relationship seemed to be unraveling and I didn't know what to do. One day we had a fight after I contracted COVID, which resulted in her having to take care of the kids. In the heat of the moment she mentioned that we had lost our connection. This revelation shocked me as I had never heard her express any dissatisfaction with our marriage before. It seemed like our relationship had suddenly taken a turn for the worse and I was at a loss for how to fix it. A few weeks later, my wife flew abroad to visit her family for her aunt's birthday. I hope the trip will provide her with a much-needed break and a chance to recharge her batteries while she was away. We exchanged intimate messages and I felt reassured and our relationship was on the mend. However, when she returned, she nonchalantly told me that she needed to leave for a few weeks to find herself, as she couldn't understand why she was still discontented with her seemingly perfect life. I was devastated by her sudden announcement and struggled to comprehend her decision. She mentioned the lost connection again, which left me feeling helpless and confused, determined not to give up on our marriage. I tried everything I could think to help her find happiness. Again, I took on more responsibilities with the kids, gave her space and even tried to rekindle our romance with sweet gestures like buying an old Nokia phone with the tagline "Connecting People." I also suggested marriage counseling and planned dates for us to spend quality time together. Unfortunately, she seemed preoccupied with work and barely engaged with my efforts at work. Her boss stopped talking to her, which she attributed to his daughter's death. I had no reason to doubt her story, but the timing seemed odd. As weeks passed, the distance between us grew and I could feel our marriage slipping away while I was abroad for a long weekend to visit my dying grandfather. My wife's mother came to stay with her and help with the kids. We continued to exchange messages, including sexting and romantic notes, and I felt hopeful that our relationship was improving. However, within half an hour of my return home, my wife told me she needed to leave for a few weeks to find herself, insisting that there was no point in pursuing marriage counseling. She reiterated that our connection was lost and she was unsure of the reason behind her unhappiness. I was hurt and confused by her sudden change of heart. The next day, I sent her an email to discuss logistics since we had children and it wasn't easy for her to just move out. I also asked to confirm that there was no one else involved as I couldn't understand why our relationship was deteriorating so rapidly. That night, we discussed the email and logistics and I pushed her to answer my question about another person's involvement. Reluctantly, she admitted that she had feelings for someone and that they had gone on a few dates, kissed and eventually had sex. But only once before ending their affair, when his girlfriend found out she refused to his identity. We decided to separate the next day and she went to a hotel to find herself. We used our anniversary hotel points to pay for her stay at a local Marriott. I sent her a list of questions, seeking more information about her affair. But her response was limited. She left me a long voicemail, expressing her regret, her struggle with depression and her confusion about whether the affair was self-destructive or a reasonable decision. Despite her apology, I still had unanswered questions about her affair. I replied to her email thanking her for the voicemail but insisting that she address my questions. The next day, she finally admitted that her boss was the man she had been involved with and that their affair had ended 2 months prior. My brother came to support me during this difficult time. And I must have courage to ask my wife the most painful question. Did she want a divorce? 14 years of marriage? And just an hour later, she responded with a simple yes. 30 minutes later, she added, "I'm really sorry." I was devastated, hurt, angry and overwhelmed by a million other emotions. I felt used and betrayed and I worried about the impact this would have on our children. My wife had experienced the pain of her parents' divorce firsthand. And yet she chose to put our family through the same ordeal in such a short period of time. She never expressed any unhappiness with our relationship until the affair, which she claimed taught her that something was missing between us. As I processed the end of our marriage, I struggled to make sense of everything that had happened. I couldn't understand how our seemingly perfect life had crumbled so quickly, and I grappled with the idea that the love we once shared had disintegrated. With my heart heavy and my mind reeling, I began the process of filing for divorce. I sought legal advice, navigated the complex paperwork and tried to protect my children's best interests. The divorce process was grueling and emotionally draining, but I knew it was necessary to move forward and heal through about this difficult time. I leaned on my family and friends for support and they helped me stay grounded. I focused on taking care of myself and my children, ensuring that they felt loved and secure despite the upheaval in their lives. The divorce process isn't final yet. I have filed but she has not been served and there isn't a court date yet. My kids are constantly asking where their mommy is. It's heartbreaking to look at their faces when they ask me, in my opinion. I know a lot of you are going to say he was a simp or simp for trying to do everything to save his marriage. That's what most men do, try to fix it. Remember, not everyone will walk away immediately. They were together for 14 years and married for 7 of those 14 years. They have 2 kids and, like he said, they have to figure out the logistics. But even after he tried, this woman showed her true colors and he filed for divorce. I am not going to say anything negative. He did what most men would do if they have been with a woman a long time. But it's clear here in the 21st century, we need to change that type